Uh, let's move to the second keynote of this morning, now focusing on business development, clusters, and transforming societal challenges into sustainable business models. Cluster initiative had played a critical role in driving regional competitiveness, but by connecting businesses across sectors, clusters create synergies that helps firms innovate in business models, products, and processes too. So it is my honor now welcoming here on stage to Joan, Marti, Estevez, Director of the Business Strategy and Competitiveness Unit at ACCIÓ. Whenever you want, the floor is yours, Mr. Marti.
Yes, bon dia. Bon dia a tothom. Thank you for having us. As it's been said, I represent the Catalan Agency for Competitiveness, so I would like to talk about the brain economy from a competitiveness point of view. I suppose there are colleagues from the Health Department, the Social Rights Department. My view is going to be complementary to those. I would like to use the language of clusters to try to demonstrate if there is a brain economy cluster in Catalonia, and trying to tell you this intersection between economic value and societal challenges. If the covers of The Economist magazine are a good signal of how the economic environment is evolving, I would like to share with you a couple. Left side, 2011, welcome to the Anthropocene. The economists tell us that the human beings have put ourselves at the center of the planet. 2011, if the situation has improved or worsened, up to you. COP29 last week, the situation has improved, worsened, probably worsened. The economists tell us people have changed the way we think about the world and our position in the world. Now we have to change the way we want to solve the problem that this generates. That was 2011. 4 years later, discover about mental health. I'm not an expert in mental health. I am one of, I would say, all of you here that know mental health for your personal experience, which I think that it's something that 100% of us have experienced in our lives, but I'm not an expert on that. But what I know reading The Economist is that the number of articles related to mental health in The Economist have grown exponentially after COVID. So this is an economic issue that we have to take into account. So this is the, I would say, a good summary of the global challenges that we're facing. Local answers. This is not a provocation. We have global challenges, and to solve them, we are giving local answers? Yes. Even after COVID, research shows that the economic powerhouse of many countries all over the world, and we can have China and the US, is concentrated. So clusters are an important part of economic performance of countries. This is the definition of what a cluster is. It's a critical mass of firms in a small area, in proximity, not firms that are exactly the same, but related firms, throughout a value chain where there is collaboration and rivalry. I would like to answer the question, do we have a natural cluster of brain economy in Catalonia? This doesn't mean having an organization which is called WMIF cluster. This is an organization. I'm speaking about the economic value of the brain economy in Catalonia. I'm trying to give you the answer to that. But first, let me tell you that we have a long history related to clusters. Catalonia was one of the first places in the world to have a formal cluster policy from 1992. You know that Harvard professor Michael Porter coined the concept of clusters in 1990. We have an ecosystem of 27 clusters, 3,000 firms, 90,000 million euros of global turnover. This accounts for more than 20% of our GDP. The Catalan GDP equals Finland's. And at the origin of this approach, it was manufacturing. So 36% of industrial GDP and of industrial jobs is generated on cluster firms. Is the brain economy about manufacturing? No. So we opened the approach because the brain economy is significant in the Catalan GDP. So even though this approach was about manufacturing, it's not only about manufacturing because there are important economic, realities to take into account. I think it is very important to know about economic history. Clusters are the result of political decisions, but I like the most when clusters are the result of economic history. This is a picture of the Mental Health Institute Hospital in Sant Boi more than 150 years ago. So we are the result of our history, but also the result of our decisions. It is important to know who you are, where do you come from, but also to look at the future. So future capabilities matter as well. And I think that this is a great summary of what this cluster is about. Learning from the future, learning from the past, building upon our differential capabilities, but also looking at the future. Is this significant for our economy? 772 firms in this business, generating more than 9,000 million euros and more than 62,000 employees. This is significant in economic terms for Catalonia. That's why there is somebody from the Competitiveness Agency speaking now. Also, over the last 7 years, a multiplier of 3 in number of firms in mental health, and a multiplier of 6 in turnover. So this sector is growing, even before the pandemic, but also during the pandemic years. Here you have the data. So if we are a thermometer of our economy, we have to take this into account because this is a sector which is growing. We generate 4% of Catalan GDP. As I said, the same as Finland's. So I'm here because this sector generates an important part of our economy. There is also a related variety of firms: pharma industry, service providers, medical technology, digital health, hospitals, universities, research centers. Remember the definition of what a cluster is: not a concentration of identical firms, but a constellation of related firms. And once we have this reality, we apply a methodology. Our cluster methodology is kind of a virtuous circle. We try to understand the challenges in mental health and in autonomy, and to have individual firms understanding those challenges and improving their strategies. To do so, WMIF cluster is not a representative for the sector. We don't need more representatives for the sector. We have hundreds of business associations. What we do need is a representative for a change in the sector. This is fantastic when you are having your shower every morning. I represent a change. To represent a sector is kind of boring, in my opinion. Okay, so a cluster is a representative of a change in a sector. In this context, we would like to contribute to a new type of capitalism, what is called a conscious capitalism. And we use this concept of shared value I'm going to tell you about. So capitalism shouldn't be anymore about generating profits in the short terms for shareholders, but to create value in the long term for stakeholders. 3 transitions: short, long, profit value, shareholder, stakeholder. And I think we are in a context where we have 5 triggers to be convinced that we need to change. One is talent. We won't be able to attract talent in our firms if we don't have a consistent purpose. Consumers. More than 20% of European consumers say that ethics are an important part of their purchasing decisions. This means more than 80 million people in Europe. Finance. There is a report from the fourth most important venture capital fund worldwide, Atomico, that even venture capitalists are investing on startups that have business models related to this concept of having a strong purpose. So it's not anymore only about a strong team and a scalable business model, it's also about consistent purpose. And in Europe, we live in this compliance tsunami that is affecting all of us. In our opinion, it's not about being reactive to, I won't be able to attract talent, consumers, finance, or to fulfill compliance. In our opinion, it's about exploiting new business opportunities that arise at the core of share value and your business. So let's be proactive. There is a lot of business, to take advantage from. Let's be proactive. And this is the concept of share value. This was coined by also Michael Porter and Mark Kramer from Harvard Business School, 2011. So remember, 2011, the cover of The Economist, Welcome to the Anthropocene. 2011, the ones that train many of the sharks that created the financial crisis of 2008, changing the behavior of what capitalism should be. 3 years after the economic downturn, the economic establishment saying that capitalism should be changed. So I think that that's not a coincidence. So share value is look for a fantastic EBITDA, but also have a positive social, environmental impact. And there is no trade-off. There is a symbiotic relationship between EBITDA and positive social impact. This is a concept about the strategy, not about philanthropy. It's not about redistributing your wealth, which is fantastic. It's about creating new wealth with social impact. It's a different concept, complementary concept. It fits very well with our definition of cluster methodology in Catalonia. For us, cluster methodology is trying to be a school of strategy, and share value is adding a social component to strategy. We do so through a specific program that any of you that are interested, we may share the specifics on that. But basically, we spend 6 months with the cluster firms. We've done this with the women cluster, trying to screen these new business opportunities and also trying to help companies at the individual level with the most advanced tools, speaking about holistic sustainability, and I'm speaking about the B Corp movement tools, okay? We've done this with this cluster. We have some specific results. I don't have time for that. Companies that want to transform their strategy and have this triple impact at the core, we invest 120,000 euros in a grant for every specific company that wants to undergo this transformation process. When we did this exercise with women, we identified 16 types of business models related to societal challenges. You have them here. I don't have time to go through them. Access to universal health, a holistic approach to personal and labor health, minimizing environmental impact, and governance. At least 16 types of new business models where to have EBITDA and also positive social impact. And we applied the B Corp diagnosis to the firms that wanted. Here the results are not important. The important thing is the strategic reflection thanks to the results. As I said, this is the most sophisticated movement, in our opinion, related to a holistic approach to sustainability. When we say the word sustainability, almost everybody thinks about environment. But we have to think about our colleagues, so our talent, our providers, clients, the local territory, governance, so on and so forth. So this is more holistic. Grand challenges need action by many, I said that we have a cluster ecosystem. We don't just have WeMind. We have a cluster ecosystem which is connected. Many of the challenges you have cannot be solved from one discipline. So you have projects related to food, in this case about dysphagia, these difficulties on swallowing, coming from neurological disorders. You need the food sector to address this issue. This is a specific project that you had, sports clusters, or even the biomass cluster. So having this connected ecosystem is a good way to address these challenges. The new era in terms of metrics, the previous speaker spoke about metrics as well. In the future, when somebody will want to join a company, won't ask, what's your turnover? They will ask, what's your social impact? And tell me numbers. Everybody knows the turnover of their companies. Almost nobody knows the social impact monetized of their companies. We're working on specific methodologies on that. You have here an interview from a company that is one of the few having a specific methodology. The chairman said, our turnover is 365 million euros, but our social impact is 543 million euros. The interesting thing is not the social impact is bigger than the turnover. This is interesting by definition. The interesting thing is that they have the social impact monetized. This is going to be a new trend in the share value approach, and this cluster is the perfect example where to test these methodologies. Everything that I said is not just to be a good company for society and for the planet, also for profits. Hundreds of studies like this one, the book Conscious Capitalism by Raj Sisodia. In here you can see that companies with a consistent purpose have a much higher EBITDA than those not having a consistent purpose. So doing good and doing well is the same thing. Again, it's not a trade-off between doing the good and doing well. You could be both. You should be both. You must be both. We are more than happy that this share value approach is part of the case that Harvard Business School just published this year about Catalonia cluster model. So for us, this is something to celebrate, but basically something to keep improving what we're doing. Gracias.